Blood Brothers podcast, a Five Pillars of Mad Monoliths production.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers, sisters, friends, and you foes out there. Welcome to another episode of the Blood Brothers podcast with your host, Dilly Hussein, and my co-host,
Aakif saying Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Now, today's podcast is a very unique, a very special podcast. Today's guest is someone who's very dear to me, someone who's very dear to Aki, someone who's very dear to our family, someone who I've known since childhood, and perhaps, without throwing dirt on the guest's face, one of the most inspirational individuals that I know to date. And the reason why his story is so inspirational is the reason why he's on today's podcast. And that's my childhood friend, Imraz Achtar, aka Babz. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you doing, brothers?
I'm good.
Yeah, good, alhamdulillah.
You sound a bit bunged up.
I am. Been in all week.
Jazakallah khair for coming on.
Yeah, you came through on the podcast, bro. Appreciate it.
No problem.
I'm a bit mangled as well, so it makes two of us. And we skipped gym today.
Of course.
So for those of you who don't know, Babz is also my gym partner. And we can touch upon our progress later on in the podcast. Imraz, basically, I'm going to interchange between Imraz and Babz, yeah, depending on the nature of the conversation.
What brings that on?
I don't know, sometimes I call him Imraz when we're talking about more serious stuff.
Okay.
I mean, it's more just on a level chat, it's just Babz.
Is that how it is?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. When it's more serious like Imraz, and then when it's like just on the level, it's just Babz.
Okay.
And Uncle Babz, I apologize as well. Not Babz is actually your name, but if you don't already know this, Imraz was always Little Babz, and you were, of course, Big Babz. Imraz, look, bro, I know today's podcast may be somewhat difficult for you because the bulk of it will be addressing an episode in your life which had massive impact on you, on your deen, and the person that you are today. And that was the death of your dear son, my dear nephew, Aakif, who passed away last June, right?
Yes.
But before I go into that and how it affected your life, I want to touch upon the life we lived perhaps before turning to the deen. Less so about me, more so about you. So look, I know that you never had a crisis in faith. For example, you never identified yourself as an atheist or you had like major problems with Islam. It was more to do with certain lifestyles and habits, yes?
Yes.
And would you say that those lifestyles and those habits were there post-marriage, even after Aakif was born?
Yeah.
And how so Aakif had a condition, right? What was his condition? What was the illness?
It was a Hirschsprung's disease.
What is that?
Basically, it's a part of the intestines that didn't form the right nerves. So when it comes to digesting food, it couldn't pass through the final stages.
And was that from day one?
Yeah, obviously he was born. They didn't realise he was discharged on the same day. Actually, we come back home and we realised, that overnight, he hadn't passed anything. So we were waiting for that to happen. Obviously, as you do. It come to the next day where he still hasn't passed and his stomach had started to bloat a lot. And that's when alarm bells started ringing. We started thinking, right, something's seriously not right here. Obviously, being parents, me and my wife, we got very worried. So we started ringing up the hospital and, explaining to them the situation. They just said, look, just don't worry, give it another 24 hours, hopefully it should be all right. Then, he wouldn't settle at all. He was just completely crying. And then it come to a family friend. His mother came round and she seen him and straight away she said that, look, this is not right. You guys, what are you waiting for? You need to go to the hospital and check it out, see what's wrong. You know what I mean? You need to definitely get this checked out. Yeah. So we went down to the hospital, took them a few hours. Finally, they decided, something is seriously wrong here. They called an ambulance in from Cambridge, Adam Brooks Hospital, and then we were sent over there straight away. I think the same day they operated, and alhamdulillah, he was doing a lot better. They obviously had to put on a colostomy bag on him, which where he was passing from
through this bag.
Yeah, that's right. And
So that was a condition that you. What was Aakif's exact age when he passed last June?
He was a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
So, and from what I recall, you both have the same date of birth, right?
We do, yeah.
Okay, so
he was
8th of October.
8th of October. Yeah, he was born early. And fell on my birthday. Yeah. As you know, we had plans on that day.
Yeah, we did.
We had to cancel.
Just actually, do you celebrate birthdays?
No, we just we had plans,
I celebrate birthdays. I just thought I'd let the people know.
Yeah.
We're a mixed bag here.
That's a bit that, bro.
Huh?
I'm only joking. Well, I'm not, but we'll talk about it another time.
He's actually joking. He celebrates birthdays in a mad one.
I don't. But look, so that's a condition that you and your wife had to obviously endure for a year and a half.
A year and a half, yeah.
But, without shying away from the camera, you weren't practicing during the most of that period, did you?
No.
But so how did you deal with Aakif's condition whilst being a non-practicing Muslim? Identifying as a Muslim, but whilst still having certain habits and maybe not living the lifestyle that we both once did in a previous life, but still involved in certain habits.
Yeah.
How did you deal with it? Did you even deal with it?
Well, obviously, we just went by, as usual, really. Just obviously, a lot of it fell down to my wife, who was his main carer. She done most of the work, and when you're not practicing and you're just in a different world, ain't you? Really, you're not thinking, you're not taking life seriously. So him having that condition, him being like that, I never really took it, too serious. I always thought, what, we're here in Britain, these doctors, they can do anything, they've sorted him out.
He'll get better.
He'll get better, inshallah. Yeah, as they always said, that they would reverse this condition and, hopefully he won't have a bag anymore and he'll be okay.
So let me ask you something. So, during that kind of a year and a half build up to him passing, did you ever make dua to Allah for his shifa and for his recovery? But did you ever question yourself that I'm making dua, but at the same time, man ain't praying, man ain't on the deen, will Allah listen to my du'as? Did you ever wonder about these things?
Yeah. It's a good question. Thinking back, I must have made dua, but, it wasn't in a sense where I've made it continuously, probably when it first happened, yeah. But then, as things got a little bit better, you tend to forget and you just start living life as you were,
Let me now move forward with those unfortunate and crucial days to the build up to Aakif passing. I remember I got a phone call either from you or your dad, and Aakif had been taken into hospital. Just tell me what happened that day that you took him into A&E. What happened?
So you're talking about
the day or two before he passed.
Okay. Well, basically, he come down with a fever overnight. So, he's got temperature and he's not feeling too good. So this was the middle of the night, just before going bed. So he's shivering. He's not feeling good. So, we kept him in bed with us, trying to, comfort him. Obviously, overnight, he wasn't too good. He wasn't sleeping well, but he eventually went to sleep. And when it come to the morning, you could see that, he's deteriorated. He's not himself. This is more than just a fever. This is something else. So straight away, we got into the car and instead of going to Bedford, I've had obviously a lot of mishaps with Bedford Hospital, and
it's not the greatest.
It's not the greatest. Oh. So obviously, local hospital wasn't the best place, and he's been dealt with by people in Cambridge. So we decided to drive straight to Cambridge. As we got towards Cambridge, we could see that he's deteriorating. You know, he's not looking good at all. He's shivering more and more.
You told me his face color changed.
His face color changed. He started getting very pale.
Yeah.
This is when I was getting very scared now. And just before we got there, he released a lot of feces. You know, he went, and I was like, whoa, this is a large amount. And by the way, this time he had his operation had been reversed, so he was no longer wearing this bag.
Yeah, because he had an operation not too long before that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was a successful operation.
That's right, yeah. So his condition had been reversed, and he was back to, would say, like a normal person.
Yeah.
So when he did this, it was just like such a large amount that it was everywhere, on his car seat and everything. So we were like, you know what, this is not a good sign. Let's just, as soon as we got to the hospital, quickly rushed him out. And when I picked him up, he had basically just lost consciousness. He was just like basically very
Not responsive.
not responsive and very weak.
Dead weight.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And so we rushed him in. As soon as we got to see the doctors, you know, they just had a few looks at him, and they said, come in straight away. They took him into the A&E. Within 5 or 10 minutes, the whole room was full of doctors. I mean, 15, 20 of them have rushed in the room. And then they just started prepping and needles, and it was just like surreal. Like, it was just like, what's going on here? And they straight away just ripped his clothes off, and they started drilling into his knees, they're putting things in him, and that was it.
They were putting adrenaline and stuff into him, weren't they?
Yeah.
So I remember me and Nas, another friend of ours, we came and saw you. It was a very early morning. I think it may have been a day and a half before he passed, and in Adam Brooks, and you were there, and I recall you were very distraught. You weren't really articulating exactly what you were feeling, but I remember before I left, you said to me very clearly, Dilly, I just want him to be well. I don't want him to die. I don't want to lose him. Do you remember you saying that to me before we hugged, we parted?
Yeah.
So again, I know there's no words that can describe those exact feelings, but you were naturally scared and fearful, right?
I was.
And it was Ramadan as well.
It was.
So naturally, you know, you turn to Allah, I'm assuming, of course. Yes. But that feeling of loss or that feeling of potential loss, right? How did you deal with it in those moments building up to him passing?
Well, to tell you the truth, it was there in my mind thinking, you know, this could potentially be it, you know, for him. But I didn't want to believe in that, you know.
You're still hopeful?
Yeah, I was very hopeful. I was thinking, nah, it's not going to come to that, you know. He's going to get through this, you know. That was me thinking positive, basically. And I was thinking that throughout.
Yeah.
And all the way up until the point when the doctors said to me, literally that, do you know what? There's nothing more we can do. We put him on a dialysis machine. You know, his organs are failing. You know, he's got no, the blood's not flowing through his legs. We might have to amputate his legs. That's when I started really getting that feeling where, what's going on here? You know, then now I'm getting really, really scared. Like, is this actually happening? You know, is this, am I going to go through this? You know, so yeah, I didn't want to let it get to that stage. But at the beginning, I was thinking, you know what, we're in a good place, we're in a good hospital. They've always treated him well, and you know what, he's always come out fine. So I didn't let myself believe that, you know what, he could actually be taken away. You know.
And then, of course, not too long after, them giving you that news of amputation, that they got him on dialysis, and then obviously I believe the cause of the death, I remember seeing the death certificate myself, the cause of death was sepsis, wasn't it?
Sepsis, that's right.
And when that unfortunate news broke, we were there in the hospital, all of us were there together. And I can tell you something, bro, and I said this to you off camera as well. We've never had anyone, like our family, we've never had anyone close to us pass away. Where, obviously Nana passed away, but he was in Bangladesh. We had a granddad who passed away a couple of years ago, but in terms of someone so close, friend or family, and then having the exposure to the dead body, we've never had that, I don't think. So for me, bro, for me and for some of our friends, our close network of friends, seeing you in that way was very difficult for us. And even we were thinking, or I was thinking at least, how is Babz going to deal with this? Because at the time you weren't on the deen, bro. So I was thinking to myself, how is he going to overcome this? So when that news came, unfortunately, you know, your son passed. May Allah grant his soul the best. May you be reunited with him in paradise. I mean, when that news came, obviously, I remember you telling me everything just happened in a snapshot, isn't it?
Indeed, yes.
He passed away, death certificate, we brought his body back to Bedford, and then before you know it, the next day we buried him. Yeah? And you made the dua over Aakif, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you were very emotional as well, wasn't it?
Of course.
And could you explain to me, Zui, because obviously I spoke to Zui afterwards, and there was a reason why you felt we all felt like it was something, it affected us all, bro. Because I know as a father, something that, you know, you mourned, and it's something that we can never ever feel or describe. But just like your immediate friends, and we know we felt it, and you felt it. And I think it was, and there were many glad tidings that you gave during the dua. Do you remember?
His son, in his final breaths, he took over. How old was Ibrahim Ibn Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam? He was like the age of Aakif, a year and a half. How amazing, huh? And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, remember Rasulullah was tested with this such tragic, difficult test that only a father will know and a mother will feel. And he looked at his son Ibrahim and he said, if it wasn't for the will of Allah, then I could help you. But because of the will of Allah, no one can stop this, what's about to happen. And this should give us great pleasure, that this happened because Allah willed it. And Allah only wills good for the believers. And he cried until his beard was wet. Rasulullah cried. He was the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He cried as well at this loss.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously, I mean, nothing's going to compare to the feeling that a father or a parent feels when, if and when they lose like a child or their child. But obviously, growing up, knowing each other, living together, living close by, family, friends, these kind of things, and just the circumstances, isn't it? When death is one of those things, Muslim or non-Muslim, people recognize that it's inevitable, right? But when you're Muslim, you recognize it more so because you welcome the idea of death, because as Muslims we have this strong idea and concept of not getting too comfortable with life because of the inevitability of death, and the finality of life and how the next life is life. But you can never prepare yourself for what always feels like a life being taken too soon. And obviously we know that when anyone passes away, that was their allotted time. Allah decreed for that was the moment for them to live. They couldn't have lived longer, and they couldn't have been taken sooner. That's when Allah wanted it. But the fact remains that as human beings, we know, that's why we always say, oh, young. If someone passed away at 30, 40, young.
Also,
1.5.
Also, parents never foresee outliving their children, isn't it? It's like,
I don't know. I'll ask Imraz. Of course not. You have these amazing plans, don't you? You plan and.
But there were certain glad tidings that you gave,
of course,
from the Quran and Sunnah that you gave.
Yeah. So after the burial, I gave a khutbah and then to the people that were there, and at those moments, we need, everyone needs, but even more so the relatives and of course the parents. They need some inspiration, some positivity, because we believe deep in our hearts that what Allah decrees for us is only ever good. Allah doesn't wish bad for believers. Allah wishes good for believers, always, unconditionally. There's lessons regardless of what the test is, how great the test is. With this being the greatest of tests, right? Having losing your child, your baby. And the thing I wanted to draw upon the most in that khutbah was that Babz had a test that only the most special people ever since the creation of mankind have experienced, and that is prophets. Very specifically prophets, not just great men or companions, specifically Anbiya alayhim salam. A very, very specific test. Do you know anyone who's been swallowed by a big fish?
No.
No, that's not going to happen.
Yunus.
So that's not going to happen, and if it does, they're unlikely to survive. We're not going to see them. But the Prophet ﷺ had this test. Sulaiman alayhi salam had this test. Ayub alayhi salam had a test like this as well. And of a different variation, Nuh alayhi salam also had something similar, except the circumstances were different in that his son didn't believe. But the point is that the greatest of men have been tested with, the greatest of tests. And what more inspiration can you draw upon, or hope to draw upon, than that the Prophet ﷺ, when he held his son Qasim, and whose body had passed, and he was weeping, cried. So we cry. The Prophet ﷺ, he cried.
Yeah.
So we cry. We be like him. He cries. So this is the Prophet. He displayed ﷺ an emotion that is natural. You can't stop that emotion. You cry. You lose your child. You cry. So he cried, and he cried until his beard was wet, and his tears were going on to Qasim. And he said, "We weep and we cry, and we are very sad at your loss, but we never ever are frustrated or uncomfortable." Is the best way I could probably translate it. We are never displeased or frustrated or in any way uncomfortable with the decree of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's very poignant, with what happened. I could have tried to draw comfort in other ways, but the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he cried and wept. But he said that this is something I can't stop myself from feeling the way I feel, but I know Allah did this for a good reason.
And B, when we were, with Zubi's khutbah on the day of his janazah, and obviously, I know myself and many others were sending you hadith and sending you statements of the Prophet ﷺ, and glad tidings of Aakif being in a better place, inshallah, being of the children of Jannah, and inshallah will be someone who will intercede for you as well, who could be your ticket to paradise as well, inshallah. Did you ever at time, like when he passed away, to his janazah, to his burial, did you ever feel that all these things that are being told to me about, he's going to be of the children of paradise, inshallah he'll be intercession for me, all these kind of good, this happened to the Prophet ﷺ, this happened to other prophets, all these things, did you ever feel that I'm feeling what I'm feeling? Or did you actually, did these reminders help?
No, they helped a lot. These reminders really played a big role, in my life. They helped me get through this time, especially, thinking about how your child is going to be waiting there for you, and how they're going to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their parents to come into Jannah,
inshallah,
and then this is what inspired me to work towards Jannah. I want to see my child again, and this played a big role You know.
I would, and so obviously now moving on to the next phase, and that is obviously you turning to the deen, right? And I remember when I was spent time with you on the day we buried him, the days after, we spoke about it and we said that, look, Babz, Aakif's going to be, inshallah, your ticket to paradise for you, for your wife, and so work towards that. And from what I recall, your fix-up process was pretty much immediate, right? Yeah. Why didn't you think to yourself, okay, fine, my son's passed away, I'm mourning, inshallah, he is of the children of paradise, inshallah, and he will be or could be my ticket to paradise. Well, let me deal with my lifestyle, or let me deal with certain habits in a gradual way, bit by bit. I'll pray 1 or 2 salah, or I might cut down on doing X, Y, and Z. Why did you opt for an overnight change, then a gradual change?
Well, basically, as I said before, the thing that stuck into my head was I need to work my way towards, seeing my child again, inshallah. So I thought, I'm not going to be waiting around for me to slowly fix up. And slowly fixing up means that, okay, there's a chance of me not fixing up and drifting away.
Yeah.
So it hit me so hard that, I just had enough. And it's not like that I was living my life not thinking about change. I was always thinking about change.
True.
And this was my opportunity. This was it. This is it. This was that sign that hit me straight and said, look, what more do you want to happen? What's next? When are you going to change? When are you going to turn back to Allah? So I thought, you know what? This is it. This is just a sign for me. This is a reminder for me. Stop whatever you're doing and turn back to Allah.
And did you struggle with giving up or overcoming certain habits? Did you struggle? Without going into details.
Yeah, at first, obviously, it was a bit of a struggle, but then you just think of your son. You think, you know what? And you think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He has basically put you through this test, and He wants to see how you do. There's many people who go through these tests and they don't come out to be successful. They don't change. And obviously it's a test for a reason. So I'll put through this test to see how I do. And there's many people that say that this could have been a punishment for you, and there's people who say no, this is a blessing in disguise. And there's 2 ways that people say that. You know what? Okay, how do you know if it was? If you know that you have become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through this, then yes, it's a blessing in disguise. So I see it as that.
So I know it's sometimes so difficult to utter these words, right? To say that the passing of my baby son was a blessing in disguise. Like, to utter those words. If a non-Muslim had that, or a non-Muslim who has no kind of a moral compass or an understanding of the divine, they'll be like, what are these lot talking about? The loss of your baby son being a blessing in disguise. Unless you're getting a 6-figure insurance payout, we can't see what kind of blessing that is. Do you understand that now?
Of course I do. Yeah, I understand that.
And so, but just on the issue of temptations, because shaitan comes to us.
Of course.
And especially if you were well engrossed in a particular lifestyle, in particular habits, how did you overcome those temptations, the physical temptations? Obviously, the spiritual method is of coping mechanism is, my son's just passed away. I don't want to carry on sinning. I want to meet him in paradise. So therefore, I'm not going to mess about anymore. But how did you deal with the physical temptations of maybe wanting to do something which you used to do on a daily basis, or something that you should just do off the regs? Or did you just soldier? It was just a cold turkey process?
Well, At first, you try and soldier it, but then it all comes down to taqwa. You know, you gotta have that fear of Allah, and you gotta have the, knowledge of, just thinking, you know what, I'm gonna have to do this for the sake of Allah, no matter what. You understand? I don't want to be on the day of judgment, seeing my child there, and my sins are racked up this high, and if I carry on doing this, then do you know what I mean? Like I said before, if I carried on and I done it gradually, it could have took me back to that way. You know what I mean?
And it has. We know brothers. We know brothers who said that we're going to cut down on certain things, or brother, I want to stop this thing, or brother, you know what, I'm going to stop this, but then they start doing something else.
Killing themselves.
Yeah. So I mean, we know people close to us that have tried the gradual process of reformation on lifestyle and habits, and it's never worked.
No.
Without mentioning names, but we know, I can't think of any success story of brothers who fixed up on the gradual one. Like I'm going to cut down from 10 to 15 to 3 to I'm not going to do it again.
You're going to cut down from 10 to 15.
Sorry,
That's
cut down.
never going to work.
Cut down
asking for trouble.
Cut from 15 to 10.
To hell going that way.
Okay, look, so Salah.
Yeah.
Right? Salah, praying your 5 prayers, right? How did that help?
Of course, it helped a lot. You know, this is basically you becoming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You've missed so many years of praying, and obviously Salah is a major thing, and it brings you a lot closer, and it helps a lot.
Do you reflect on how Salah is a fundamental part of your daily routine to perhaps, because I think about this a lot now.
Yeah.
Every other day I think to myself, look at how we spent our time before practicing with no Salah.
Yeah.
And now, alhamdulillah, Salah plays a major role in how your daily routine plans out. I can tell you from a gym point of view, mashallah, for our viewers and listeners, Babz is always pressing me to do gym in certain times so we can make it to Salah in masjid. And sometimes even me as a bad influence to you, I'm like, bro, we can just pray at home, or we can pray together. And you're like, nah, bro, I need to pray in the masjid. So that's now prayer being the nucleus of our routine, right? Do you ever reflect about how you spent time before and how you're spending time now?
Yeah, of course. Before there was no thinking of Salah. The only thing was Jummah.
Yeah.
We've got to make it for Jummah. But alhamdulillah,
Do you feel like a lot of time was wasted?
Of course, a lot of time was wasted, 100%.
All the times we parked up. Islands Park, Embankment, Paddler's Court, all them times.
I was just thinking back,
What were you doing there?
Huh?
It was a waste.
We can't go into details what we were doing there, but just say a lot of time was wasted.
It was waste. It was a waste of time, But now, alhamdulillah, everything.
You're a time waster. Like a Man United player.
2 seconds, Babs. I told you we're not going to go into details in this podcast about the things we used to get up to. Why did you ask that for?
That's fine. So give you the option, right?
Yeah, we were just wasting time in those areas, isn't it?
Yeah. But now the Salah plays a big role, and you plan my day. If I'm going out of town or whatever, I want to travel at certain times just to make sure that, so I can pray my Salah comfortably when I get there.
Because life as a traveller, as a Hanafi, is hard, isn't it?
It is hard. It is. It's not easy, but alhamdulillah, we can do it. You know what I mean? It's not that bad.
I've got a good book at home. You can really make things a lot easier.
So look, okay. So alhamdulillah, we saw your transformation.
Yeah.
And your friends, your direct friends, your crew, the brothers are most closest to you. And even we used to have these conversations. Remember when I said that Babz has smashed his 40 days?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we had a little celebration in your back garden. Do you remember we chilled out?
Oh yeah.
Our friend Sumbul from Turkey was down as well.
Yeah.
And then just seeing your transformation had a massive impact on your friends. These are things that I've never told you, by the way. These are things I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
But I don't want to tell you too much so you don't think you're too sick either, yeah?
Of course.
But I think a lot of the brothers who are already kind of practicing within our friend group, we were thinking, Babz is really excelling. To the extent where were we even fully practicing? Babz is really showing us apart, yeah? So alhamdulillah, bro, you even played a positive impact on your friends. Because we, or at least I, was worried to some extent that he's not going to be able to cope. He may go back to certain habits and certain lifestyle. 'Cause it's just easier to do that, isn't it?
Of course.
It's just easier just to like, okay,
do what you know.
to do what you know and to do what everyone else. We know, brother, we have friends and family, brothers who they've had deaths in their families. They cry, they mourn, they go to the graves, they make dua, they give charity, and then they just go back to that lifestyle, right? And they just zone out and pretend that, you know, it will never affect them. But you didn't do that. But we were worried. I was worried that, you know what, Babz might go back to that. But you didn't. So you had a positive impact even on your immediate friends network. Then you went Umrah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What inspired you to go Umrah quite soon after your son passed?
Well, basically, my wife and me, you know, mainly my wife actually, she decided that, look, we have, me mainly have changed my life radically, you know, and she basically said, look, let's go to Hajj. She said Hajj first, but then I thought, you know,
we'll get to that. That's the other issues.
Yeah. I thought, look, we're not ready, like, meaning financially for this. So, you know, let's get ready for Umrah, you know, and so that's it. We decided, you know, the same year we're gonna go on Umrah, and let's do it. And
how was it?
Alhamdulillah.
How was making Umrah? How was seeing the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and going and seeing the Kaaba and then Masjid al-Nabawi, and how was that?
Alhamdulillah, it was amazing experience. You know, people they always say, you know, you're gonna get there and you'll feel that khushu', you're gonna feel like, whoa. I did have that feeling, but you know, when you've changed your life already and you're practicing and you've got that all, you know, you
some level of grounding.
Yeah, that's right. So it was good, but I felt as if, you know, this is
I'm here for a purpose.
Yeah.
I've got certain objectives I need to fulfill.
Yeah,
because we spoke about that, isn't it? Some people come up from Hajj and they literally, I've heard this so many times, we see the Kaaba and it's like, wow, right? But then I've spoken to some brothers and they're like, yeah, it's magnificent, but we know that it's always there. We pray towards it. I've come here to fulfill a fard of my religion.
Yeah.
Have you seen those differences in reactions as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a distinction between people knowing why they're going there and people going there and being like, wow, they're seeing the Kaaba and it's like some type of world landmark.
Yeah.
And they react to it like people in Bedford.
Yeah, Bedford.
The people of Bedford who are going to see the ruins of the Thamud. But obviously not making that comparison. I'm glad you clarified. What I'm trying to say, obviously, is that some people, they go there and they have this immediate kind of physical, spiritual moment of awe. And then they come back and then in the same way the balloon blew up, the balloon deflates as well. It's like, and then you know what happens after that? But yeah, people who are there, you know, they've invested their time, you know, thinking about why they want to change and how important the deen is, and they've been praying salah and stuff. They know that this is a part of my religion. I need to visit this place.
What about this one? I asked this question to both of you, but you first, Zui, because obviously we've not had the honor and the invitation yet. Inshallah, Allah will give us that invitation.
The invitation is there. We haven't responded yet.
So, but let me ask you something. How about the one where people come back and like, we just want to live there? Even those Muslims who gun up the Saudi regime and see them as Wahhabites and that, we just want to live in Saudi.
They live there, then.
Yeah, but there's this assumption, isn't it, that when you go to Umrah or Hajj, I want to just stay there. But I would humbly argue that's...
They're the same one that gun Makkah.
Yeah, but I've also said, but that's easy, isn't it? Yeah. Of course you're going to be on the deen, or it's going to be easier for you to be on the deen
when you're there.
Yeah. It's going to be very difficult for you to be a jahil, even though it's not impossible, but it's very difficult when you're there in Mecca, in Medina, surrounded by Islam, surrounded by the monuments, the buildings, the history and all of that. Yeah. But the reality is that you have to come back.
Yeah.
And the real struggle is there, isn't it?
Well, I think come back to reality. Come back to your life,
your life,
your home,
and
keeping up.
Isn't it easier to practice Islam? Like it's assumed that it'd be easy to practice Islam.
It's like saying, try not practicing Islam when you're doing itikaf in the last 10 days of Ramadan.
It's mad.
Try not to.
Yeah.
Try not fasting.
It's mad, isn't it? Did you feel that as well? At any moment in time, did you think, oh man, if I could be here, I'd be so much stronger.
Yeah, of course. You're there and everyone's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We're all going to the masjid. We're all going to pray.
No distractions.
Obviously, we haven't got a job there. We're not working there. We're not. Do you know what I mean? We're not running around there. But it's what you got to do there.
Yeah.
You've got to go and pray and do ibadat. That's it.
Just keep worshipping.
Yeah, you're just praying.
And so when you got back from Umrah, not too long after, I remember we were talking about potentially going on some holidays. We were talking about going with our wives and we were going to go on a holiday. And then you're like, look, nah, we're thinking about Hajj.
Yeah.
And at gym, we used to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then we spoke about what some of the obstacles were for going to Hajj. Yeah. Obviously, there was the financial one.
Obviously. Yeah.
And then obviously we were speaking about, have we ever wronged anyone financially? Have we taken anything that's not rightfully ours? Have we harmed anyone physically?
Yeah.
Basically, what is it? Hukuk al-ibad, the rights of the people. Yeah. Have we transgressed the rights of the people? Mm-hmm. And in your case, there were a couple of cases where you did some shenanigans back in the day, right? Yeah. And I said to you that, look, Babz, if you need to settle that before you go, or at least have a good intention to settle that.
Yeah.
How did you settle one of the ones? Because there's one that was...
Yeah.
There was one where you did something, that person didn't know, you took something that wasn't yours, and that person has left Bedford.
Yeah.
How did you overcome that one?
Well, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to think about, trying to get in contact with someone that, you've wronged, and they don't even know about it. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't easy at all. But, one day I just said, look, I'm planning on going Hajj, and I'm definitely, I've made niyyah. I'm gonna go. Yeah, you know what I mean. If Allah wills, I'm gonna go. So I thought, look, I have to come. I have to overcome this obstacle. I need to reach out to him somehow.
Yeah.
First, I was thinking, right, do it anonymously.
I said that to you.
Yeah, you give me an option.
I said, why don't you post something through the brother's letterbox? And just say IOU or something like that.
Yeah, anonymously. You were saying, look, why don't you contact him anonymously and say, look, I've wronged you in the past, and
slip something for a letter.
Yeah, and forgive me, and so on.
But you went for the puritanical.
Yeah,
option,
I did. I thought, you know what, I have to come clean and I have to come out in the open. So
how did the brother respond when you approached him?
Alhamdulillah, he took it very well. He understands that everyone makes mistakes in life.
Did you take the pee that you owed him?
Of course not. The brother was actually really down to earth, and
mashallah, he is. We know who he is.
And he understood. He knows that people make mistakes, especially when you're younger, because we're talking about years ago.
Yeah.
And to people who's thinking that, oh, I was younger and this, that, and the other, that doesn't really matter. No, it does.
Yeah.
You got to remember things. You got to try and dig out everything you've done. Yeah. So alhamdulillah, it went well.
Were there any others?
Of course, yeah, there were others.
Of course there were.
But you know what? I can say there were others, but not as many as yours.
Okay. Why are you saying that on camera?
Sorry, that's part 2 will be you sitting there.
Yeah.
See how many things you post.
Where did that low blow come from, Papa?
No.
We were trying to do one.
He's posting back. He just posted IOUs, isn't it?
No. We're talking about myself, but you said I had a few, but yeah.
That's what 3 to 5.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I can't believe Babz just did that on camera. But anyway, this guy. There was another brother.
Yeah.
Who and just for those of you who, again, just to give you an insight into our childhood and what we were like growing up, Babz was single-handedly responsible for many of us getting into lots of fights.
Oh yeah,
because he was known as Baby Babz. He was the shortest, the most child-looking of all the brothers, and he'd get into confrontations and just into fights, and we'd have to go and settle these things with him involved, of course. Yeah, you'd be fully involved, but it was always a case. If I got permanently expelled from school first time because of you.
Oh yeah,
because of Jose.
Oh yeah,
because you had some beef with this Portuguese guy called Jose.
Oh yeah, it was something very silly.
Yeah, and then we went and sorted him, and then I got permanently expelled from school. They let me back in. And then there was a few other little. Then there was that one. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, coming down the bridge.
Yeah, coming down the bridge. Those junkies. Yeah. And then there's a little thing that happened just around the road there. I had to leave work and we clotted them. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
In the takeaway.
Oh yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Around down the bridge.
Yeah, but there was another one, wasn't it? One that was more closer to home.
Closer to home. Yeah.
He was a Muslim.
Yes, he was.
And he was a local brother. And you had some confrontation with him.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, our viewers and listeners need to understand that Babz was little Babz. He was physically smaller than a lot of us. So therefore, there was even amongst us a sense of we need to protect little Babz as well. Yeah. Oh God! Then there was the one when me and you were riding bikes in Ramadan once.
Right.
Them Indian guys. Do you remember? He said, "Get off the bike lane," and then we went stuck on them at the yard in Ramadan. Do you remember? Me and you were riding a bike, and they were like, "Get off the bike, get onto the bike lane."
Oh,
do you remember?
Yeah, you know, it's coming back to me. Yeah.
Again, it was all you, yeah. So I'm just saying that. But this specific case, we did something wrong to the brother, right? And you know, it was without a shadow of a doubt something very wrong that we did at a time when we weren't on the deen. And you met him before you went to Hajj as well, didn't you?
Of course, yeah.
And how was that?
Obviously,
that must have been awkward.
It was awkward. It was awkward to go and.
Because not only did we wrong him, we wronged him in his house.
Yeah, of course. It wasn't a nice thing that we did. You know, obviously we weren't thinking the way we think now. But obviously, I went and.
You used to think like that some most of the time.
What? Astaghfirullah, John. No, unless you imagine noirs, I don't think about that. No, not even imagine noirs. I'd never. I'm not a violent extremist. I'm not even a non-violent extremist.
No. So.
How did you approach the brother?
Well, obviously, the thing is, I
see like that
because he's from the local community. You know, I've been seeing him around.
We did,
and
we still do.
We still do. Yeah, we've never seen eye to eye after it happened.
But we never sought his forgiveness, did we?
No, never. And so, you know, I decided that, you know, this is one of the things that are on my list and I need to do it. So I plucked up the courage and I just stopped him one day when I saw him on the street. I go, this is my opportunity, you know, let me stop him.
Before you were there any reservations? Was there anything telling you that, oh man, I ain't feeling this? Oh man, do I have to do this? Allow it, Bonnie. Or things like that. Did that ever pass your mind?
Look, kind of obviously, you think to yourself, you did this thing for a reason.
Because I was wronged.
Yeah, I was wronged.
Yeah, you were strangled, bruv.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So
yeah, go on.
I was wronged, so you know what? That doesn't make it right for me to wrong him, but we did anyway. But what happened is that obviously, yeah, there was them thoughts going through my head, thinking, do you know what? Do I have to? And
it's kind of settled, tit for tat.
Tit for tat. Yeah, you know, he wronged me, I wronged him. But then no,
it wasn't equal wronging, was it?
No, you don't do that. And at the end of the day, do I want this person to be there on that day? You know, when the accounts are settled. You know, I didn't want that at all. So you know, you try your best to settle everything you can in this world. You know. And
how was he?
Do you know what?
He said something funny, didn't he?
He did. He took it. Well, he never took it.
As well as the next brother.
Yeah, but he was still okay. So
but he said something funny to
okay, so as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Listen, my brother, I'm sorry for what happened." And he goes, "Before you go any further, can I just ask you, have you gone religious now?" I looked at him and I thought,
"Yeah, I have."
Yeah, I have. You're right. Yeah, you know, I've changed. My mindset's changed. You know what? And I'm saying I'm sorry. Then he's like, okay, yeah. And then...
did he forgive you?
Yeah, he said, you know what, you are, it's okay, and you're forgiven. Then he started going on like, you know, it's up to Allah and things like that. But at the end of it, he said, it's okay. And when I see him now, I give him salam, and he's okay about it.
Alhamdulillah.
So, you know.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept everything from you, my brother, and all those brothers and people that you may have wronged. If they've forgiven you, may Allah accept their forgiveness and stuff like that, brother. Yeah. So you went off to Hajj. Yeah. So you are actually Haji Imraz Achtar.
I am.
And so, alhamdulillah, you know, your maqam is indeed increased. You've got the title of a Haji now, yeah? Mm-hmm. How was Hajj different to Umrah?
Well, Umrah it's just one of those. It's basically nothing. It's nothing compared to Hajj, meaning the struggle. Umrah was a struggle for me a little bit because I'm not used to this. Heat, walking, up and down, hard floor, things like that. But Hajj was a bigger struggle. But
Did you struggle with it?
a little bit, when people talk and they say, "Oh, Hajj is gonna be hard," the way they talk, like you got so much walking to do, and I thought to myself, "Wow," I struggled a little bit,
Especially you don't do any cardio.
that's right. No cardio, so I was bound to struggle a bit. But it was mainly just like blisters on the feet and stuff like that, and sore feet.
And toilets.
Babz has debunked it, yeah?
Yeah.
Hajj isn't hard, yeah?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
But you said toilets. You struggle with
Toilet,
toilets.
obviously, when you gotta wait in them queues for for the toilets, and obviously the hygiene level and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not something that we're used to.
Yeah.
But the actual ritual, the actual days of Hajj, did you feel that you are truly fulfilling a major obligation of your religion?
Yeah, I mean, the day of Arafah, alhamdulillah, it rained, and that's not something that happens very often,
Yeah, my mom and dad and a few of our judges, they said it's never rained like this.
Never, no. And especially just on the Arafah area, you know what I mean? So, again, this is like a sign from above to say that, you guys are, I've got some people say, oh, there's a lot of special people out there that year, As you said, how many scholars were out there?
Loads of scholars from the UK went out there, and they were saying that we have been to Hajj many times, but we've never seen rain like this in Arafah, ever. We're talking about scholars that have been there 15, 20 times.
Yeah.
I said we've never seen rain like this, and that this was a blessing at a time of soaring heat.
So it felt very special. I'm here for this, and I'm a part of this, and on my Hajj, this is what happened. So, I felt very...
Upon completion, did you feel liberated? Did you feel like, alhamdulillah, it's a major thing?
Of course, it's one of the pillars, and it felt...
Any financial regrets? Because I know that you saved up hard.
We saved up hard, and financially, obviously, look, at the end of the day, if you've got the means, and, you should go. Especially go when you've got the strength and the energy to go, So, many people, they tend to go at older age.
50, 60, 70.
Yeah, and they think, what, we'll go, we've still
Once
got...
everyone's married off.
and this and that, and then we'll...
become a grand
and then we'll go.
So, let me ask you if you could give some advice to young Muslims, 18 to 35, 18 to 40-year-olds, who want to go Hajj. They have an idea in their mind, they want to do Hajj, but like everyone else, especially amongst the Asians, Bengalis, Pakistanis, Indians, we think we're going to end up going at 50, 60, 70. If you could give some advice to young Muslims who want to go Hajj but will end up delaying it, what would you say to them?
Again, I would say to them that, look, if you're financially ready, it's best for you to go as soon as you can, because you're going to, you're thinking that, okay, I'm going to wait another year or two, or let's just give it a little bit of time. I've got things to clear, this and that. But no, because you don't know what's around the corner. Anything can happen. You're physically ready now. You're capable of going. You should go, because you don't know what's around the corner.
Hey, Jazakallah khair, bro. Look, most of this podcast has been about your journey to Islam or becoming more practicing, and your struggles and your experiences. I want to just take this aspect of this part of the podcast to ask about, how did you deal with your wife mourning as well? So as a husband who was also mourning, as a father who was also mourning, also at the same time turning to the deen, how was it being there for your wife? Like, there must have been challenges there as well and difficulties there as well, because a mother mourning is sometimes completely different to a father mourning. This is a child that she gave birth to, and she looked after, and it was a part of her. So tell me a bit about
Yeah, I mean,
Briefly.
like you said a mother mourning is sometimes more than a father. Well, it's 100 times more. It's not sometimes, it is more. Because the mother has a different bond with the child. You know, like you said, she's given birth. She's had the child for 9
It's
months.
part of her.
Yeah, that's right. And it was hard, you know, because, I was broken, but she was broken a lot more. Do you understand? And it took her a lot longer to come to terms with this than me. Obviously, you got to support her as much as you can. You know, you got to be there, and you got to give comforting words. You know, such as intercession of the child, and how our beloved prophets had been through this same situation, and how the we are just being put through these tests. You know, these kind of words. These
Did those reminders help your wife as well?
Of course, they helped.
The same reminders that were given to you.
Same reminders given to me. You know, I would say to her the same thing because they helped me a lot. So obviously they did help her as well.
But it took her longer to.
It took her longer. Yeah, it took her a lot longer because obviously, like I said, a mother's bond with a child is something else.
And did you feel that as your wife was mourning as well? Did you feel that? So you said yourself that obviously it took her longer to kind of eventually get over the mourning period. So if your mourning period, look, I also don't want to break it down systematically. Like, this was the period we stopped mourning and we got on with life, bro. I appreciate that, Aakif, and we speak about him. He's in your thoughts every day. I know this, right? But in terms of a period where you kind of realize that, look, he's gone. We need to move on. We need to make preparations for other things that we want to fulfill in life.
Yeah.
Did you come to that realization before she did?
Yeah, I did.
So that difference, so that period where you had kind of acknowledged, accepted, realized, moved on from a mourning point of view, but she was still there. Was it difficult?
Yeah, it was difficult because obviously she's still like thinking of it and
crying and stuff.
Yeah, crying. You know, there would be nights where she'd cry all night, and she'd cry a lot more. And obviously, it felt as if like, you know what? Now I realize that the mother's bond is more because look how I'm a lot stronger. I've overcome this test. Meaning because it changed me. Obviously. She was practicing already, and it was more of a test for me, let's just say, the way I seen it. And so I saw it as, when I thought about all the things that had been said from, friends and even videos watching on YouTube from all the scholars and things like that, they helped me a lot to, get hold of myself, to grip hold of myself. And obviously, with her, it took a lot longer.
And I know this is a crazy question I'm about to ask you, bro. Because again, for non-Muslims, if you were to ask these things, it'd be difficult for them to comprehend it. You know how you said the death of Aakif was it was a blessing in disguise in terms of you fixing up and you turning to the deen. Would you say him passing made your marriage stronger?
You could say so, yeah. Because obviously, if you're not on the deen, your marriage is not really going to be as strong as it will be if you are on the deen.
Yeah, of course. In the absence of deen, you may think your marriage is strong.
Yeah.
But if the deen isn't the bond, then it is somewhat spiritually weak, at least.
Of course. Yeah.
So from that point of view, it made it stronger.
Of course, yes, it did. Yeah.
Zui, let me just ask you something, B. Mashallah, congratulations. You've just become a father as well.
Alhamdulillah.
Abu Umara. How would you think? We lived through what happened with Babz. We were there. How would you even imagine it? Like traumatic. Like, would it have a massive impact?
I would be distraught. Yeah, I don't know. I've become a father recently, and all I think about is my daughter. When I'm at work, when I'm commuting, I just have her face imprinted in my brain, and I just can't wait to see her every time. So, so if that was taken away from me, I would be broken. Yeah, I can't put it any different to how Babz has said. I would be broken, and it'd be interesting actually, because interesting in that if I was ever tested with something like that, how would I cope? I don't know. That's when boys become men. Innit? That's when you show out what kind of your blood is.
Look, I was respect for that, but just
The food's ready in the microwave.
no, that's my message because it's connected to the Mac.
Is it? Okay.
So you said you think about baby Umara like constantly, right?
Yeah.
So in your list of things that you think about, where does the podcast come?
It's not on the list, bro. But I was moving on with chances straight up. So I was asking one of my colleagues, yeah.
I'm hurt, but just carry on.
Yeah, I'll tell you to get over it. I was asking one of my colleagues, and I asked on the low. It's a woman. I spoke to a woman. It's okay. And
At work?
Yeah, at work. Yeah. It was not work related, so I don't know, maybe questionable. But I said, I'll go so and so. I'll go look. I'm gonna ask you something. Yeah. Obviously, they were very, very excited with with baby coming and stuff. I go look. Pulled her aside, and I said, I've been having this thought that's been going through my head constantly. I want you to tell me whether I'm losing it or whether it's normal. She said, what's that? I said, I keep thinking that my daughter's gonna die.
Yeah.
Every day. That she's gonna die like this, she's gonna die like this, she's gonna die like this. She's like, that's normal.
You're also non-Muslim.
Yeah, I was not Muslim. She goes, that's normal. I go, you sure? She goes, if it happens too much and you start losing sleep, you can't rest, you can't eat, then that's not normal, and you should get support for that. But it's normal to think about your baby dying in the sense of like parenting.
Okay.
Like, are we doing this right? Are we doing that right? Is she safe? I can't see her or him. What if this happens? What if they fall? What if they slip down the stairs? She said it's quite normal when you become a new parent for the first time to be on edge about these things. So for it to actually happen, if you were to ask me again, I can't answer the question, but yeah, it'd be dark.
B, bringing the podcast close. I know that, alhamdulillah, from someone who did not pray to now leading the mandems in salah, mashallah. Yeah, alhamdulillah, it's crazy sometimes when we think about it. And Babz is leading us in salah. It's like, wow, this is actually happening. Alhamdulillah, it's beautiful. It is. But you've been very busy as well. You try to keep yourself busy with certain activities, learning Arabic, going on tabligh, looking into certain dhikr sessions and stuff like that. So you're kind of like, now that certain things are established, or are in the process of becoming established, the fundamentals, tell me about your exposure with different groups, different jama'as, because Tablighi Jamaat, you've been on Tabligh. Like that is the dawah wing of the Deobandi movement, right? The dhikr sessions in our local masjid is a local Barelvi masjid, right? Some of the scholars that I know you listen to online are predominantly Salafi scholars, right? So one would say that you're nicely dabbling with everything, right? Obviously, I know that, me and you anyway, we're Hanafis in Salah and stuff like this, but you're kind of like, you're just looking into different things at the moment, right? How do you make a decision? How do you make a decision as to this is right, this is something that doesn't seem right, I'm going to stay away from this, I'm going to be involved in this, I'm going to listen to this? Because on the way back from gym the other day, you said to me, or you asked me, bruv, what's the difference between Deobandis and Barelvis? Do you remember you asked me? And then like Sufis and Salafis, and I said to you, look, it's Aqidah issues pertaining to Allah's attributes, where Allah is, and whether you can do istighatha from dead people or alive people and stuff like this. So right now, where you are in your deen right now, how are you making these decisions? Who to be involved with, who not to be involved with, get involved in this activity and not this activity?
Well, basically, you can't. Obviously, when you're just say like kind of new to you know, the issues of Aqidah and everything. You got to go around and you got to look at, you know, everyone. You can't just say,
Write everyone off.
Yeah, you can't say, right, this is my group, I'm sticking with them. No, you got to look and you got to make your own decisions. You know, obviously, so I've been, you know,
On Tabligh.
yeah, I've been on Tabligh. Okay, that seems good. It doesn't seem nothing wrong with that.
Do you find it spiritually enriching?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. Then obviously I've been to the mehfils, not mehfils, zikr in the local masjids and stuff.
You've not been in any Hadoukins, have you?
Well, I actually went to one of the Hadoukin places, and
Probably you should have hollered, man.
There was Bijli coming out and everything.
I went there, and you know what? Like I said, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna check everything out.
Okay.
You know.
So you've been to a Hadoukin session.
Yeah, but I didn't stay for long.
Okay.
Okay. So
glad.
things.
So that didn't sit right with you.
No, it didn't. So I exited.
You allowed that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got out of there.
So the Tabligh you found spiritually enriching.
Yeah.
You went to some mehfils and some dhikr sessions which were decent. You went to obviously some Hadoukin sessions which weren't right.
Yeah.
But are you kind of just exploring the kind of different activities that are there to strengthen your deen?
Yeah, you know, obviously we want to do what seems right, and obviously you can't rule out anyone. You understand?
Unless it's something bait.
Obviously, yeah, you don't want to just like do one of those ones. Yeah.
And how's the Arabic coming along?
Arabic, alhamdulillah, it's good. You know, obviously you want to know what you're reading in the Quran, obviously, and tajweed obviously is a big thing. You know how I explained before, like one little
mistake could change the meaning.
Could change the meaning. So
Me and Babz recited to each other the other day.
Alhamdulillah.
We sat, and even then when I was sat, I was like, I'm sitting here going through Surah Fatiha and Al-Baqarah in Babz in a mosque, and if someone said that to me 5 years ago, I'd be like, nah, you're mad. Yeah, but alhamdulillah, we did it. It felt quite sick.
Yeah, you got to make the effort. You know.
That's good, man.
It was. I'm being serious.
Of course, man.
It was crazy. Like we were sat there. I don't know about you. I was sat there. I was thinking to myself, I'm sat here with you.
Crazy how things change, man.
That's it. So, but you're still on a journey, yeah.
Of course.
You're still shopping around to see who's got what to offer. Yeah.
I'm still about, man. I'm still cruising
around. Yeah.
And Black Friday deals.
Yeah, but what I was going to say was, you also, even before practicing or became practicing, you had some exposure to groups like HT and others.
Oh, yeah.
Because Uncle Babz was involved with some activism.
Yeah, back in the days.
And you had some uncles who'd identify as Salafis
as
well. So you've had a fair amount of exposure to all the different groups.
That's right, yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. Babz, before we close the podcast, can you give some advice, right, to Muslims who have lost children, who have lost brothers, who have lost parents, who have lost husband or wives, who have lost really close loved ones, and some advice to them in terms of a coping mechanism and how they could potentially overcome this period of mourning and use this opportunity to turn to the deen? Could you just briefly give some advice?
Well, I would like to say that, you know, when you are being, when you put through these kind of tests, it's a test for a reason, for you to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obviously, something wasn't right in your life, you know, you weren't doing the right things. It's happened for a reason, let's just say. For in my case, for example, my son passed away. He was born on my birthday, which was something special for me. Again, it's like a sign for me, you know, this is your son, he's born on your birthday. Again, we named him, he was named Aakif first, and he got ill. Then we thought, no, this meaning is like, it's like a lofty meaning. It was a king or something like that. And then we thought, no, we change his name to Aakif. Aakif was the meaning.
Is it derivative? Is linked to the word, like the word itiqaf.
That's right.
Has like Aakif in it.
Yeah. So it was one of those, one who worships, who sits in the masjid, and again, like I was saying to you earlier, you know, it was a sign for me, and how crazy it was that his name is that meaning of itikaf and 10 days, and
he passed away in the last.
And he passed away in them last 10 days, you know, in Ramadan. It's just one of those things, you know, it's just crazy. But anyway, getting back to what you said, So that there was a sign for me to think, wake up, what are you doing? You know? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you many signs to people. You know, earlier on in my life, I had a car accident. You know, it was a close to death car accident, but I didn't change. You know, shrugged it off, just carried on with my life again. You know, these kind of things, these signs happen for a reason. You're not doing something right in your life. You know, you haven't got that connection. You got to remember about life here is just a test, and you're not here for long. You know, we're here for, you know, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that the average lifespan is what, 60 to 70 years. You know, we're halfway through. You understand? And we don't know we can go tomorrow. Are you ready? Do you think you've done enough to take with you? You know, on that day, are you going to be thinking, you know what, I've got enough there, mate? You know what I mean? But no one's really ready. You know, you know that what I've been doing is a lot worse. You know, I haven't been doing enough good deeds. Yeah, especially if you're not praying. You know, you haven't been fulfilling the 5 pillars. You know, understand? You haven't been doing the right things. So these things happen for a reason. You need to wake up and see, you know, why has this happened to me? What was I doing wrong? You know, I wasn't on the right path, was I? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts those who He loves through these tests just to bring you closer back to Him. You know what I mean? He only wants good for you, you know? As it says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, you know, does not want to punish you, you know? So always look into the deen. And obviously when someone passes away in your family, you know, i.e. Children, parents or whatever, when they go to the other side, you know, inshallah they make it to Jannah, but don't you also want to meet them there? You know, you should, these kind of things are the things that you should think of. You know, I want to go and I want to see my relatives, you know, in Jannah. We want to be living together there. So I always say, you know, make sure you can try and secure your Jannah, you know?
Inshallah. Rabbi, you know what time it is?
Yeah.
You know, with all our guests, we offer them barn or a thumbwall or an arm wrestle, but you don't have the liberty of those 2 choices.
Why not? I can't see no barn here.
We don't have no barn here, first and foremost.
This is a stitch up.
No, it's not stitch up, because Babs has tried barn before. That's the first thing. He's tried barn before. Number 2, you tried at my house. Yeah. Secondly, we can't have a thumb wall. Like, how are you going to live with yourself? That means you'll be gym partners, but you want to do a thumb wall with me. What kind of baguette is that, bro?
Why not?
Because we can't. It's nonsense. So we're going to have an arm wrestle.
If you're wearing pink camouflage socks, why are you not going to do a thumb wall?
No, Friday's usually our arms day. I know Babs must have done some arms workout secretly.
Astaghfirullah. Brother, I haven't been to the... Do you know I've been ill?
Okay, so should we just get this arm wrestle out of the way, bruv?
If you want to do it, let's do it.
Okay, fine. I'm challenging you to an arm wrestle. Are you saying no to me?
No, I'm not.
Okay, then let's do it then. So we do the countdown, B.
You happy with your grip, yeah?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah.
You happy?
3, 2, 1.
Okay, this is going to be a hard one, yeah? Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, Babs, what are you going to do then? Are you going to go for it? Are you going to go for it? I know what you're doing. You're trying to reserve your energy. I'm not trying anymore. You're going to have to go for it. You're going to have to go for it.
This is brilliant. This is going to be a sick podcast for 2 hours long now.
Yes, buddy. Watch it.
Close.
Go on. Is it tight then?
Listen, watch the shoulders, yeah? Watch the shoulders. That was sick.
Oh, jeez.
I enjoyed that.
Brothers and sisters, and that's it all for today's podcast.
Yeah.
For our listeners from North America, subscribe to the Mad Mamluks. For those of you who don't like watching YouTube videos, you can find us on all the podcast platforms: Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, Google, all on the Mad Mamluks. For UK and beyond, subscribe to the Five Pillars channel. And that is all for today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Until next time.
Black Brothers Podcast, a Five Pillars of Mad Monolith production.